This is Beach Talk Radio.
Good morning, Mr. and Mrs. America, and all ships at sea. This is your captain speaking, Mean Gene. Mean Gene. The following will be a test of the ship's whistle, the sonar alarm, the cable alarm, and the atomic attack alarm.
Live from the Island Cow on the beautiful island of Sanibel, you're listening to Beach Talk Radio with Kim and Ed Ryan.
And hello, everyone, and welcome to Beach Talk Radio. This is episode number 2, the Sanibel Show, live from the Island Cow on Periwinkle Way, right? Not road, Periwinkle Way. And for anyone that's new to the show, we launched our first episode on Fort Myers Beach on August the 5th, 2018. And we broadcast live there every Saturday morning from Peach Timeout in Times Square. And as we plan to do every Sunday morning, we want to give a big thank you to Vice Mayor Holly Smith for being our first ever guest on this show. Although we asked John to be the first ever guest, so I'll have to ask him why he couldn't make that. But anyway, it was even better to have Holly on than John for as the first guest. But are you listening?
I'm listening.
All right.
You usually run really long with your
I know.
intro.
I have to make sure I take care of all this. So thank you to the Vice Mayor. Please share this page if you can with your friends and family and subscribe to our YouTube page. We broadcast the show live on both Facebook and YouTube, and then it gets uploaded as a podcast right away, so you can listen to it anytime you'd like on beachtalkradio.com, on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. Also, sponsorships are available now that we're here on Sanibel. And if you're interested to know how to have your business stand out, you can call me anytime on my cell phone, 247-3833, 247-3833. We're also on Twitter and Instagram, and we have a news site and blah, 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 all that. Later in the show, Jason Maughan, running for city council, will be on, and we have lots of stuff at the end of the show to talk about. Carl's going to come back on, Brian's dad, and tell us why the Green Bay Packers lost last weekend. So he's got some splaining to do. But our first guest right now, the president of the Chamber of Commerce here on Sanibel, John Lai. Enough already. I have to get all that out of the way. You have to explain to all the new listeners, all 9 of them out here on Sanibel.
They can hang in that long to get to the good stuff.
John, thank you so much for coming on. We appreciate it very much. And thank you for everything you've done to help us get the show off to a great start.
Congratulations, first of all, on a great program. And I know you celebrated 150, show number 150 yesterday on Fort Myers Beach. We're looking forward to 150 in the near future great. Out here on Sanibel.
It's such a nice location, the Island Cow. It's a great spot, and they're nice people, and the food is amazing, and you can see the busy street behind us. We decided to turn the camera around so you can see how many bikers and walkers come by on the sidewalk down here, and we
can let people let us know what they think about this background or the restaurant background. And I want to thank you because you came to my aid before you really even introduced yourself as I was wrangling the much appreciated umbrella that we have here.
The reason we put the umbrella here is last weekend the sun was so bright and hot, which was nice. It's nice to have a nice day. But Jason Maughan came on our show once on Fort Myers Beach, and the sun baked him. It was so hot; he was sweating bullets. So we promised him we wouldn't make it so hot today. But it really is a lovely day here.
Man, the weather is great.
I know you had. Go ahead, dear. You had a question.
So tell us how you got this gig as the chamber president and CEO. Is that correct?
Absolutely. Yeah, the best job in all the land. I was born in. I was raised out here on south of Florida, and so after. Thanks a lot for your assist. After 30 years of running hotels here on Sanibel, Captiva, Fort Myers Beach, and throughout the state of Florida, I had the opportunity to serve on the Sanibel Captiva Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors. And about 4 years ago, the previous president CEO announced that he was going to retire. I was in a bit of a transition myself, and really couldn't think of a better fit and better timing for me to come on board and do what I'm passionate about. Thankfully, I was able to throw my name in the hat and be selected for this position, and the rest is history. awesome.
And ladies and
how long have you been in the position?
Right around 4 years now.
Nice.
Yeah.
And ladies and gentlemen, your screens are not fogging up. John's got a mask on, so his left eye glass
Tends to do this. Yeah,
we were talking about earlier that you're getting ready for LASIK surgery.
I am. Yeah, it's exciting, and I was feeling real good about it until Kim asked if I was nervous, and now I'm all of a sudden nervous. So,
You'll
yeah.
be fine. It's just
No,
the
it'll be
idea
great.
of someone that close to your eye. I mean, skilled.
If you
skilled
listen
surgeons,
to if
but-
you listen to any of our Fort Myers Beach shows, she makes guests uncomfortable all the time.
Oh,
So just be aware
please.
that some of the questions she's going to ask are going to be way out in left field.
I'll try not to mess up like last week.
Unlike
Yeah.
Jason, I never let him see me sweat. So we'll blame it on the fog, is what we'll do.
That's right.
Yeah.
So what is it like being the president of the chamber down here? It's so nice down here, and
is.
it's kind of secluded, and it's $6 to get over the bridge, so the riffraff stays over somewhere else.
So
And you don't get to see any of that money. It goes all to Lee County.
it does, and one of the things that's really cool about this job in particular, most chambers do a lot of events and a lot of networking and things like that. We all know that in the last year and a half, last year in particular, has been incredibly difficult to do. We down here on Sanibel Captiva at our Chamber of Commerce do a lot of advocacy work. We do a lot of fighting for clean water, fighting for Visit Florida, which is our marketing arm for the state to drive tourism. We ourselves are a tourism marketing entity out there. So if you've ever stopped by the chamber, I don't know if you have, Ed, our first floor is nothing but kiosks and digital screens that help people plan their vacation. And that's a function of a chamber that not a lot of city chambers get to do. So because we are a destination marketing organization and and that's a small component of what we do, we have the opportunity to see 80 to 100,000 people walk through that building every year.
Wow.
So that's fantastic. We also know that what brings them here is what makes this island unique, right? We've got, like you mentioned, the $6 toll. So that bridge, as soon as you come over it, there's a feeling of exclusivity. There's a feeling of I've reached, I've arrived. It's almost like that final toll
Right.
to get over the bridge. And
it's a beautiful drive over there.
It
I mean, you
absolutely
really
is.
take a big, deep breath and kind of
Yeah.
relax as you're coming over.
And then when you look at Sanibel and Captiva as a whole, it's so different than anything else in our state in terms of the protection of the building codes, the protection of the roadways. We don't have any traffic lights. That's something that we tout all the time.
Oh, there's zero traffic lights.
Traffic lights, all four-way
Right.
stops. And so, there's a feeling of old Florida that you get
Yeah.
when you come over that, isn't present in a lot of our destinations here in Florida.
Adam Botana is watching. He says you do a great job, by the way. So, and he,
Back at you, Adam.
represents District 70.
76.
Oh, you cheater!
Yeah.
You looked at it, yeah. So,
So,
I
yeah.
know 76, 78. I get them all confused. Now, on the website, I was looking on the website. It is a nice website. And you list a lot of things to do, places
do.
to stay. I mean, it really has the feel of a destination for someone to plan their vacation there.
It certainly does, and that's absolutely intentional, right? We have over 1.5 million visitors to that website every
Wow.
year, so that alone is very robust. So when you look at it, and go back to your question, when you look at the job at the chamber, most people see it as economic development. They see it as workforce development and working with the city in terms of moving things forward. We do that. We also do a lot of advocacy, which a lot of other chambers do. The one component that's very, very different is that destination marketing organization. Once again, the small component of that we do is such a big deal to our members out here. We can't take that lightly.
how has the pandemic affected the? We need to do some show prep, so
That's
we don't.
right. You stole my question.
We don't really even talk to each other before the shows. We
try not to. Let's put
yeah.
it that way.
That's what keeps you happy
Yeah.
and married, right?
That's right.
I mean,
26 years. You
Well, yeah.
gotta put in some breaks.
So, what was
Show
my
on
question
that.
going to be? Now that I forgot.
With the pandemic.
Oh yeah. How has everything been like with visitors and all that?
yeah, it's been a guessing game, as you can imagine, right? We've had years, typically in a normal year, tourism's direct spend within the state of Florida is $86 billion with a B. And here in Lee County, it's 3.3. Well, you can imagine last year was half that, right? We missed Easter. we missed a lot of our spring break, and then we lost 2 months of just being closed. This year is while it's better, it's nice to see the energy behind us. It's nice to see people occupying chairs and rooms. It is a bit more of a challenge because if you're sitting up north and you're hoping to get that vaccine, you're not going to travel.
Right.
Particularly now that the state has closed the vaccine to people who don't have an ID, a Florida ID, or own land down here. And if you've gotten shot number 1 up north,
You have to stay.
you've got to stay, right? For shot number 2. So that's throwing a little monkey wrench in our program. We are incredibly optimistic because we're so grateful to have that vaccine this quickly.
Yeah.
Just to be able to think that a year ago today, we didn't even know how this thing would react. And now we've got a vaccine for it. Amazing.
Right.
So, but yeah, to answer your question, it's been a guessing game. My guess it'll continue to be one for the next 3 to 4 months.
Is it like they're telling us over on Fort Myers Beach? It's kind of like the last minute, not so much the last minute, but like the last week or the last weekend, because people are just waiting as long as they can before they come down.
Absolutely. Yeah. Typically this time of year, we are buying ads in the Northeast, the Midwest. We're trying to really get those top tier guests. We're trying to make Sanibel Captiva front and center while it's dumping snow on them right now.
Right.
We've changed our strategy a bit this year to market within the Southeast so that people can, you know what, it's nice out. We're going to go take a drive over to Sanibel. And so that's a big part of the reason why you're seeing that short-term booking window, as they call it.
So you're doing more advertising regionally, yeah.
Within the state of Florida. And
yeah, because I think that's kind of the thing that they're pushing now is look locally, like
Absolutely.
Vacation locally.
Yeah, I mean, really and truly, we are, as Floridians or people who reside down here, just incredibly blessed to be able to take a drive 2 hours across the state and see something that looks completely different than what we call home. And it's still in the same state. And you didn't have to get on a plane, and you didn't have to pack more than an overnight bag.
Right.
How many bikers do you think you have on Sanibel? It was last week. It doesn't look like it's as much today, which is crazy. But last week we were just watching them. It was like a parade of bikers. Unfortunately, most of them were not wearing helmets, which I don't get in Florida. Like, I mean, I've fallen off bike 3 or 4 times. It doesn't
matter where you are. You should wear one.
Right. So, but my helmets aside, how many bikers and you have a bicycle club that I think Holly was saying, Holly Smith was saying she was on that committee or board or
a couple of them. And I don't know an answer to guess would just be completely out of left field for me. But I would guess it's in the, I can't even guess.
Would you say it's mostly people that have their own bikes or rentals at different businesses or all of that?
It depends on the time of the year. Ed.
Okay.
In summer, I think it's a lot of people who have their own bikes. I mean, if you come to the Chamber of Commerce on any given day, we share a parking lot with the city that allows people who own bikes locally to come down here.
Yeah.
This is 2 weeks in a row.
And you have your own. You have your own police department. Hopefully, it wasn't somebody on a bike that didn't have a helmet,
right? No, gosh. But we it's in season. You're dealing with a lot of rentals, like you mentioned.
Yeah.
Out of seasons, I think you're dealing with a lot of the locals. But like I mentioned, we have that's some service, by the way.
Yeah.
I think
right. This is crazy.
From across the restaurant. Anyways. But yeah, I think that going back to that, we definitely have.
We planned this. This is just a show. This is like a parade. Something we knew we're going to be on to show that service is on top of things down here on Sanibel.
But yeah, if you stop at the chamber and you've got a bike and you live in Lee County, you can park at our chamber parking lot, unload your bikes, and go for a bike ride.
Yeah.
Right.
We see right now. That parking lot's full all the time.
So people can park there and unload their bikes?
Yes.
Okay.
So if you come to the chamber, you go.
I didn't know that.
That's a good thing to know.
Absolutely. And, it's part of our partnership with the city. And there's a trail that picks up right
Very
there.
bike friendly, too. The paths are big enough for bikers and walkers. One of the things that, again, I keep comparing the two. What is the problem?
I have a question.
Okay, go ahead. I'll ask my question. No, I have to ask it now because I'll forget it.
Okay.
So you guys have figured out how to, like the bikers and the walkers have figured out how to kind of integrate. They're getting bigger sidewalks on Fort Myers Beach, so they're kind of trying to deal with like how to make sure that, people don't ride each other over the bikers don't ride over the walkers. So what is the rule?
That would be a city question.
I was gonna say,
John, come on, man.
He's from
The
Chamber
rule
of
is
Commerce.
He knows all the
get to
answers,
a,
for crying out loud. He's getting LASIK.
This one I don't know.
I'll ask Jason.
That's
There.
a great
Okay.
one. Yeah,
There you
would know
go.
that. Yeah.
Go ahead, dear. I
you
apologize, John. I should have
He
sent
gets
you.
good.
He gets off on
I
this
should have sent you the
bicycle
questions in
thing
advance.
too
I
much.
apologize.
No. That's a good one. And I want to leave some for Jason. I mean,
Okay, thank you.
You don't want
Yeah.
to hog
'Cause
all
you're
the
the nice guy
questions,
that I
right?
am.
Because
yeah,
I always
wanna
run out
give
of
him some
questions for
topics
politicians. So
There
thank you.
Yeah.
You know the answer. You're just gonna let him
Exactly.
take it.
Do you need to go and wipe your glasses off? Because they keep fogging
No,
up for some reason.
I'm
Every
about to
time I
rip
ask
them
a
off.
stupid
That's
question,
what I'm
his glasses fog up.
Well,
So
I'm
it must
sure.
be me.
Over here. Maybe I will get one that beer.
Holly is watching. She says she is the council liaison to the bike club.
Yes.
Okay.
She's also the council liaison to the chamber.
Yeah.
So
She's, how
free
does
to
she
take
find
that.
all the time to be these liaisons? And she's going to be the mayor, by
we've
the
said
way.
it from day one that Holly Smith has found a way to clone herself.
Yeah.
Because she is one of the most involved people that I know, and she does a fantastic job in everything she does. I could never do that.
John Lalo, who hosts our show over on Pete's Time Out, he said, "You're the chamber president. You should be able to know how to divert all my questions. How to avoid them." So I don't know where he gets that from.
No,
Maybe he's making some comparison to Jackie.
That could be it. Yes.
Well, I'm going to remain silent on that
please.
one.
When? So when we go home.
You mentioned before that the chamber, you've had to change things this year because you're not
Sure.
doing the same kind of event, or in this last year, the same kind of events. How have you met that challenge?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Thank you.
Ring the bell.
We used to do a monthly luncheon. We would do a monthly after hours. We had an annual meeting, and a lot of those things were great because while Sanibel is a very close-knit community, they, just like on Fort Myers Beach, love a reason to get together, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's been unfortunate because we can't do that from a personal responsibility level. We've got to make sure that we're keeping our businesses safe. So we've done a series of really virtual meetings, and one of the things that we've realized during this time is that virtual meetings are not ideal, but we're able to get some really great speakers because they don't have to leave their office in Tallahassee or DC or wherever they are to drive down to Sanibel.
Right.
So we've had congressmen, we've had the head of Visit Florida from Tallahassee show up at a couple of ours and speak. We've had Surgeon General Rifkes for the Florida Surgeon General speak about vaccine rollout. And so we've been able to stay on top of very relevant topics for our members and our business community out here. To answer your question, once again, that's a guessing game too, right? We don't know when to plan the next meeting, when our first meeting should be. So, for our annual meeting this year, we're going to have an in-person board meeting only with spouses, and we'll still do our Sanibel Captiva Island Awards, but we won't do it in a large group setting. We'll do it in a small group, socially distant, nice dinner, some drinks will be free flowing, and we'll
you look like you
way.
work out though, right?
I try.
Yeah.
Well,
So
the pandemic's not been good to me. I got to tell you that.
how many push-ups can you do in a minute?
If you're gonna hold me to it, I'm gonna say 50.
Okay,
but
that's
if you're
pretty
not gonna
good.
hold me to it, I'm gonna say probably about 100
In 1 minute. That's more than one a
it's not gonna
second,
happen.
John.
No. Okay,
I was
fine.
interviewing Nick Cannon the other day for my day job, and he thinks he can do
90.
90. He said he can do 90. You know who Nick Cannon is?
Oh yeah.
I just like to throw
Isn't he
that
like
out there. I'll probably never talk to him again in my life.
was
But
gonna
he
say,
thinks,
that's
I said I need
impressive.
to see some video of that. Is that gonna be chest to the ground push-ups? Because I'm not buying it.
Yeah,
I'm not buying it.
Nobody's
Oh, you're doing half
chest.
push-ups,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. What's that?
Is there a gym on the island?
So there are a couple. There's the rec center that the city manages, and then we have we've got a one on Rabbit Road.
Rabbit Road.
Rabbit Road. I don't
Like
know if
a-
you're familiar with that.
No.
A privately owned?
There is. Yep.
What's it called?
Oh, so there's Sanibel Day Spa, or I'm sorry, Sanibel.
Is that where you get your
Wellness.
nails done?
And it is actually.
Okay.
Yeah. My pedicures. We've
You're
gotta
hiding
make
everything
sure.
today.
I am. Yeah, I did that on purpose.
So no, it's what's it called?
Sanibel Wellness, and then right next to it is a gym.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Cool.
So I'm sure
Back to the real questions.
everybody's a member, but why give your pitch
Sure.
for why people should join, why people should be a member.
So here's the thing about chambers of commerce, and I think that I'd be remiss if I didn't state, whether or not you are a member, we're working for you. If you're doing business on Sanibel and Captiva Island, the Chamber of Commerce is advocating for your business. Whether or not you're a member, we are driving people to the island by our marketing. Whether or not you're a member, we're going to represent this island in every way that we can to get people here and make your business successful. Why you should be a member is that there's a cost associated with that, right? We need to make sure that you as a business get your voice heard, because each business is different, right? Your needs here on Sanibel Captiva are much different than the Island Cows needs. They're much different than SCCF's needs, and so we need to hear what you want, what your needs are. We need to hear what their needs are.
The biggest
Our needs are sponsorship.
Please. The biggest mistake we made was not joining the Fort Myers Beach Chamber the minute we started a show, because the minute we signed up, we realized how much you get from a chamber. The first thing I did when we started this show was join the chamber, because I learned my lesson the hard way by not getting the benefit of being part of a chamber. And if I could get that point across to every business, what you get for it was like, I don't know, $200 or $300, which is nothing when the return on investment on that compared to the return on investment on something that you would, let's say you buy an ad in whatever, or run a radio ad in a pot of 12 ads. It doesn't even compare, because you're getting a year's worth of help from the chamber.
Absolutely.
And I had no idea. And I venture a guess that a lot of people don't.
Well, and that's a great point, Ed. I think that, for someone who comes into a community, and we just assume here on Sanibel, everyone knows everyone, but that's not always the case. If you're new to this community and you need help at city council, or you need to be connected with a good attorney or a good real estate agent, or so, the chamber has a bank of certified professionals that have been a part of the fabric of this community for decades. And so rather than just, Googling it and then picking one that's at the top. And you can't trust Google and those things anymore anyway, because of all the craziness going on there. The newsletter that Ashley sent out on Thursday or Friday was worth the price of admission, because not only was it pleasantly laid out, you learn about the golf tournament that's coming up from the Rotary, and some of the other events that are going on, and the business highlights that are part of being the membership. So talk about if I don't mean to put you on the spot, about the Rotary event. So I don't know. Okay. So I'm going to defer that to Jason. That's the hardest thing. I'm going to call the Rotary about that. But that was it's a charity event to raise money for the Rotary on the 13th of February. We have their flyers in our cool. In our visitor center right now, and it's a great event they do annually. It's a little different this year because of COVID, and so I don't want to misspeak, but I'll tell you that keep an eye on those emails, because the Friday emails are great. We send those out so that front desks can give them to their guests, and they know what's going on in the islands. The Monday emails are more geared towards business to business and what's going on in the islands and businesses. So there's a small difference there, but the Rotary, it is a phenomenal event. They do it every year, like I said, but with so many things being different this year, I'd hate to misspeak. But and the thing too is that you guys and Fort Myers Beach with Jackie, they're having networking events, and I know that people are trying to social distance and wear their masks and all that, but you can't you can't substitute that for when you're around other people that are trying to be successful at business and trying to make, as much as they can during a time where the government is trying to shut them down, or, you're dealing with a pandemic. I didn't mean it in a negative way toward anybody, dear, but that you never know. Being around those other people is worth. I'm not trying to get a job at the chamber, but I'm just saying I'm trying to say that the mistake that I made at the beginning, and I'm not going to make again, because it's that, even though sometimes there's only 8 or 10 people, because people have other things to do, or they don't know that there's a networking event. Like I know there was one in the email from last week that you have something coming up. We do, yeah. So this month, February, last month we had a couple of them. We had the the candidate forum that I think you were a part
I
of.
watched it. Yep.
And then we also had Mick Denham was our speaker. In February, we have an event coming up where John Talmadge will be our speaker. He is the head of economic development for the county, and he's going to talk about the CARES Act. He's going to talk about what economic development looks like coming out of a pandemic.
And Mick Denham is the mayor for people that don't know.
Mayor for Sanibel. He's been on council now for over, I believe it's 13 years. And, once again, the fabric of this community is just made up by the people who pour their heart and soul into it for so many years.
And he's not running for re-election.
He is not. So he's his seat will be one of the 3 that are vacant. And that we'll have 6 candidates running for.
Yeah.
Will Holly be the mayor?
That's up to her peers.
Good answer.
Yeah.
That's up to her peers.
We're hoping so.
Yeah.
When I go to the polls on March 2nd to vote, I'm voting for Holly for mayor.
He's joking.
And that's the coolest thing about Sanibel is we can't vote for her.
Right.
It's not cool. Well,
He really
maybe it is here.
he doesn't
I don't like.
that.
I don't like when councils have to pick their own. Like it's a popularity. That's
It's
not
really
a
not
popularity
about you.
thing. But yeah, right. Anyway, that's a whole different story. But whatever. I want Holly to be.
About Sanibel, not cool.
The Fort Myers does the same way. They
thing,
pick their own from the group.
Sure.
So I think a lot of small communities do it that way. They don't have somebody that runs for mayor. But anyway, so go ahead.
You talked
Go
a
ahead.
lot about
Go ahead.
Thank
Go
you.
ahead.
The
ahead.
pandemic and coming out of the pandemic.
Sure.
And one of the things I noticed on the website was the SandCap Safe.
Yep.
Can you speak a little bit about what that is and what that means? And so
Yeah.
people can be assured that you're doing everything possible to keep them safe when they come and visit?
Absolutely. Once we started to reopen.
question.
That was a great question.
Is there a bell that's supposed to get
Yes.
ready? Great question. When we started to come out of this pandemic, we realized that if you've ever been to Sanibel, you know that there are no chains, right? With the exception of like 3 or 4 that have been grandfathered in, the Dairy Queen, the 7-Eleven, and the Subway. Coming out of the pandemic, what we realized was a lot of these family-owned businesses did not have a set of SOPs or best practices, and really no one had
Right.
a playbook on reopening after a quarantine. So we got together as a group of professionals within our government affairs committee, of which Holly is a part, and started to go just scour the associations, the industry associations for their best practices of coming out of this. The CDC guidelines had already been sent out, and so we had industry associations that were putting out really great information out there. So we went out and we put all of that on our site. We made sure that our businesses, our members, knew that it existed, and then we also made sure that if they wanted to participate in it, that they had a conduit to do that and be recognized as a business that was taking additional steps to keep people safe. We knew that coming out of this pandemic, it always is the case, but consumer confidence was going to be key. And so to us, that was just a way that we could prove to the public that look, Sanibel Captiva is taking this seriously. And we're not just saying it.
It's a long list of businesses on there.
About
too.
150 businesses at this point.
Wow.
Yeah.
You guys are going to get like a major reconstruct. I think it's a major reconstruct out on the way over to the island there, and that's all county and state and federal money. You don't have to.
It is.
You don't have to dip into your paycheck for any of that. That's going on out there. It's
that $6 toll you had mentioned earlier.
That's right. And they're putting in bathrooms, and they're figuring out how to not let people just
free for all.
Which is the way it is now, right?
It is. Yeah, it's going to be really something. They start this summer. I think they're saying 2024 it'll be completed. But there'll be more organized chaos, I guess, if you could mention that. So the parking will not be, like we mentioned, a free for all. There'll be designated spots. Yeah. There will be an inability to launch jet skis from there. So one of the things that we've had, sadly, is that people just back their jet ski trailer in between 2 people that might be parked and recreating on that same sand.
I see.
And then they launch the jet ski and take off like crazy in the middle of the swimmers. So, from a safety perspective.
Oh, I see.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's we're not anti-jet ski at all. There's 2 boat ramps on either end of that. Oh,
they're just not using or they don't know, right?
Well,
they're not,
I think it's just
it's
easy
easier.
for them.
Yeah,
right. Yeah. I mean, they just back their truck
because they don't have to wait. Yeah.
Right,
Okay.
exactly. And so, we definitely want them to be there. We just want them to be there in a safer manner.
I know as a kayaker, it's always a challenge to
an
find
occasional kayaker. Don't make it sound like you're some kind of Olympic
whatever.
kayaker.
You're working me so much.
Right,
But as someone who has kayaked, opposed to someone who has never kayaked, I would say that it is a challenge to find a place to launch, and then it is nerve-wracking to be out there and have anything motorized go by you at a high rate of speed or any rate of speed.
So as part of the plan, like with the first thing that you see when you come over part of the bridge is those 2 porta potties on the left side, which is lovely to see. Is that going to be replaced with one of the actual physical bathrooms? That's what I think is.
That's part of the plan right now. So yeah, anything would be an upgrade from that, right?
Right. Yeah. At least it's a bathroom, right?
Right. Because
I did hear Jesse Lavender talking about the bathrooms and upgrading that, which will be nice. Because as you go further down, there are 2 other bathrooms that are physical buildings. So is it going to be something like that, or again defer to Jason?
I would defer to Jason, but I think that right now they're still planning that. So some of the things that were kicked around were, the porta potties that are actually they look more permanent. So they're
the ones that are there now,
almost like no.
Okay.
You look at the ones that are more RV type.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have no idea what you're talking about.
It's okay.
I don't have an RV, so we have.
No,
One time we went to a race. I got to tell you this story. We went to a race, and at these races,
have nothing to do with what you want to talk about.
These Spartan races that you go to, they have like porta potties that are lined up like by the hundreds. So she gets into one of the porta potties, and our friend from Boston tipped it over on her.
Not tipped it.
He tried to push it over. Oh, he couldn't because you were a little heavier then. Is that what you mean?
He just tried to jam it.
Yeah.
But
and then I a different race. I thought you were in that, or somebody was in that, and I tried to tip it, and it wasn't anyone we knew.
No.
So we started running away.
For anyone listening who might be on the causeway right now, don't do that.
Yeah, don't tip over.
That's
dumb. That's a stupid thing. It's like it's a childish thing to do. Why would you do that? By the way, is fishingist a word?
Oh boy.
Would you think? I can ask Jason that too, but is fishingist like is the Sanibel?
Is fishingist.
It's the fishingest bridge in all of Florida. Would you consider that a word, or would you?
Even if it were a word, I think it's grammatically incorrect to use in that sentence.
Okay.
Most fish.
The most fishingest bridge in all of Florida. I need to look that one up.
Stop picking on people.
So when is the LASIK plan for? So we know, so we can make sure that we call and ask if you're okay and all that, or
February.
If you're okay,
yeah, I know.
Do they put you under and all that?
No, I think you're in and out of there in like 30 minutes.
Oh wow. I haven't been to the doctor
like
in 20
years. I
years.
wasn't nervous until Kim asked.
Well, you ever had LASIK?
No, I want to get it, but I'm too chicken.
Trying to talk her into it.
I'm going to see how it goes for you.
Holy crow, we're way over time here, John.
All
Thank you
right.
so much for coming on. Thank you for all the help and for putting up with Kim's lame questions. I know we're
she
gonna
got
have
2 great questions.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to get the bell
you.
out. She's not gonna ask Jason any good questions because she's not into the politics.
Not
but,
as much. I tread lightly there.
yeah,
It's hard.
It is hard.
it's not hard.
It's a
for me.
landmine.
I love that stuff. John Lai, everybody. He is the president of the Chamber of Commerce, and we owe him a big round of applause from our artificial audience.
That's right.
Thank you much, John, for coming on. I know we're not allowed to shake hands anymore in this new world order that we live in. John Lai is the president of the Sanibel. Is it the Sanibel Captiva Chamber of Commerce? And we appreciate John coming on and helping us out. And make sure that you get on their website. And if you own a business on Sanibel, that you pay for the damn membership. People, don't be so cheap, because you're getting a lot of stuff when you join the Chamber of Commerce, and we're living proof of that because of everything that they give you. And we give her one job in between guests. We give her one thing. All she needs to do is switch out the microphones. That's all she needs to do.
Do you want me to do the ad?
You want to do the ad? Okay.
Sure.
If you do the ad, that'd be great. She's going to do the ad. We're going to do an ad now. We've been practicing this, everybody. So stay tuned for this. Hold on. I'll give you the cue. We're going to do the cue. Wait a second. I got to make sure I do it this way. Go.
Okay, folks. One of our sponsors is Sanibel Carts out here on the island. Cruise the islands in style. They have 4 or 6 passenger street legal golf carts. They're super cute. They deliver them to you either gassed up Or they also have solar powered ones, but they're all ready to go. They deliver them, they pick them up. All you have to do is make your reservation. They have a bunch of different packages available. You can just come to the island, park your car, and get into your golf cart and tootle around the island to see all that there is to offer out here. They can be reached at 239-500-CART or www.sanibel-carts.com or info@sanibel-carts.com. So please give their website a look and make your reservations now to get your golf cart, street legal golf cart. Thank you.
Lovely job. Lovely job. How about a big round of applause for our ad reader, Kimberly Rose Ryan? I think that's her middle name. I'm not 100% sure. And we are broadcasting live from the Island Cow. This is episode number 2 of Beach Talk Radio on Sanibel. And right now, it's a great pleasure to have Jason Maughan on the show.
It's good to see you, Miss Kim.
Hesitate on his name. I was like, what are you doing?
Did you hear what he said? He said, it's good to see you, Kim. That's what he said. How dare you?
Because he's super polite and we're
26
friends.
years. Nicely
I know,
done.
right?
That's the same as me and Miss Babs.
Wow.
26 too. So
Did you bring your better half with you?
1994?
She's standing over there talking to Brian Podlesak, the proprietor
Very nice.
of this excellent restaurant,
Yes.
which I think we can all recommend happily.
So how are things with you?
Not too bad at all, thank God. Staying busy, I'll tell you that. There's been a lot of action on the island vis-a-vis the real estate market. I know we're seeing some downturn on the visitation numbers, but I'm glad to see any industry that's doing well. And there's a lot of peripheral jobs that come from those transactions taking place that people perhaps don't think about. It's not just a realtor getting a check. There's a lot of local action for contractors, et cetera, surveyors, appraisers. So these things radiate out. So at least we look for the bright sides.
Right.
So what are you, 6'4"? Yeah, you're
6'7".
Holy Christmas,
Are you
6'7".
seriously?
Yeah, no, that's all I say. It was thrown out of Ireland because the tourism board said nobody wants to see a 6'7" leprechaun. It's bad for business. So we came to the
Did you ever
island.
play basketball with 6'7"?
No, it wasn't. It's funny enough, in Ireland, it wasn't a big sport. We all played rugby and played it year round. And it wasn't until sort of what you could call the second stringers from the NBA came to the European Unions League. And they were so fantastic compared to European players that they really elevated the sport. So now there's a great amount of excitement.
So you played rugby?
I played rugby, yeah.
That's a tough sport.
Yeah, you look like you're you needed to add on some weight though.
Well, I used to be about 40 pounds heavier.
Okay.
but
Wow.
All right. Yeah.
Slim and trim, maintain my girlish figure. That sort of
All right. Yeah. So let's rewind a little bit now.
Yeah.
You were on the city council for how long?
4 years.
Okay, you were on for 4 years and you ran for higher office against Adam.
I did.
And how did the campaign didn't work out the way you liked?
No, but it went fantastic. And to tell you the truth, it was the House has a unusual resign to run law, where if you want to run, you need to put in your resignation. So I missed out in the last 3 months of my 4 year.
Oh, that's
term.
not a Sanibel rule. That's a House
No,
of.
no.
Okay.
The Sanibel could have put me back on, but we're going to an open election with 5 other fine people. We're looking forward to that. That's
Well, wait,
going on
before
right
don't
now.
jump ahead though, Jason.
Yeah.
Why would you want to run for state representation in Florida? It sounds like a very unfun job. Like it's only 6 months or something, or you have to live there for 6 months. It just didn't seem like
it's a couple of months. Well, here's the thing: it's an idea of whether you believe. To me, financially, it's a losing proposition.
right.
But I'm one of those people who believes that if you're going to serve, the idea is
Okay.
you come home with less money than you went into it, not the other way around.
That's why we do this show, because we go home with less money than we do when we came down here.
Congratulations! on that job.
$6
Well
to get
done,
on, and
No,
We're
but
with you.
when I got here as a boy from Ireland, I made a list of things that I thought that I owed the community and the larger community around here for my citizenship, because I took it very seriously as an adopted son of the Republic. And I said I was going to try and do as many of those things as I could before I was 50, and I turned 50 this past Christmas. And the last thing on the list was to try and represent this area at the state level. And it was unsuccessful, but it's not the fact that you lose. It's the fact that if you believe in it, you've got to run and give it your best shot. And as long as you leave nothing on the table,
right.
Right.
can
So
walk away
you
happily,
just turned
congratulate.
50. John Lai is going to be 50 this year. Did you know that? In November, he's going to be
I
50.
did
Yeah.
not. You know, we don't actually keep up with each other's birthdays.
What the
But
hell?
shall from
What
this
the hell's
point
going on down here? You're all getting
Well, no, I
freaking
know his
old.
mom going back. His mom was one of the people who's very kind to my family. She's been in the banking and finance industry on Sanibel for decades. So going back to the late 70s and early 80s,
Yeah.
she was somebody who was very kind to me as a boy. I think the world of her. She's
When
absolutely
did you leave
wonderful.
Ireland?
I left Ireland full time in 85. We had come here in 76, and my dad bought a house on the island. The first of our family came here in 59. And then we started spending half the year here until we got green cards. In those days, it was a much more involved process. And you had to have a job, you had to have friends, people had stamps, you had to have insurance, a bank account.
Now you just
somewhere
need
to
to hop
live.
the fence.
Yeah, well, we won't go down
Okay.
that rabbit hole. But the thing is that I was very proud of my citizenship, and it meant a heck of a lot.
That's
to
right.
me.
That's
It
right.
made me a zealot towards the rights of citizens.
So you graduated locally,
Bishop
right?
Burrow High School, class of 89.
And then you tell people who I can't imagine that, nobody doesn't know your history, but go ahead and give your credentials and what you did and what qualifies you going forward for council.
Well, I'll tell you what, I came here as a boy, and as I've said a couple of times in some interviews recently, if you're literally off the boat, I mean, it was more 747 of LaGuardia, but off the boat's a nice turn of phrase for today. When you come to a community and you are welcomed as well as my family was and looked after, because as I was saying to somebody, I said, you just see, that's some Irish kid, leave him alone. But they actually taught me to fish, took me on boats, taught me to water ski. And this was back in the good old days when you could water ski down the bayous. So you literally went to your friend's house
And
on plane the whole way. And we're glad to see the back of that because that's all bad for her, but it was good times during the day. So I went to high school here, graduated from Bishop Burrow, and then I went to Stetson University and got a bachelor's there in political science, and then went to Gonzaga University where I met my beautiful wife and did U.S. law there, and then went to Ireland with Babs, and we lived over there for 3 years while I got a law degree to cover the European Union. And I had said to her then, where would you like to go, Darnie? You've come along with me and looked after me when I had to do all this ghastly studying business. And she said, well, I'd love to go back to Sanibel.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, well, thank God, because I owe the U.S. government a lot of money for my education. And I think they would also like us to come back.
So Gonzaga is where?
Washington State, Spokane.
Okay, so Gonzaga, most people probably don't know where Gonzaga is until the NCAA tournament starts. And they're all of a sudden, like the last decade, they're like one of the best basketball.
So did you play?
I did not play basketball.
Oh.
Yeah, he played rugby for crying out loud.
Football.
Do you listen to any of the
I know he
answers?
played rugby there.
How
but
crazy
here
is it
he
that
could've
they have a
played
great
that.
basketball team, though?
What's lovely about it is that they're insistent upon the student players having a quality education. And I think that goes into the discipline and the team, that everybody knows that they're both to get an education and both to be as good as they can and play for the honor of the university. And I think that has kept that sort of Jesuit insistence on. That's all great, but maybe 1 out of 100 of you will see the NBA.
Right.
The rest of you are leaving here with a quality education, look after your
which makes it
families.
even harder when you have that kind of discipline as far as learning goes, and to find great basketball players. That's a
hard.
unique
You know
mix
what?
to find.
It's heart. You really have to have heart to do that. And you have to be a real team. There's no showboaters. But my only claim to fame is sharing a lat machine once with John Stockton.
Yeah. Do you know who he played for? What NBA team did John Stockton play for? Forget it. You're not going to get it. Let's leave it to our listeners to see if anybody knows. I'm sure somebody will come up.
There's a koozie for somebody out there coming your way.
There's a free T-shirt or a hat, right?
On our
Caller
lines
number
today.
5. So, Jason, why do you think? Explain how this works. You were on the council.
Mm-hmm.
It could have been easy for the flow to continue if you were just reappointed when the state race was over. Why weren't you reappointed?
Well, it's an interesting thing, and that was the only ask from Mayor Wayne at his last meeting was to appoint me. I think there was a feeling that some people had currently, apart from Mick Denham, who was just a fantastic gentleman altogether, currently there's nobody on the city council now that was actually voted on ever. So you've got 80% of the city council were either appointed or walked in unopposed positions. So what we're doing is the majority of the city council is now going to be elected in March. And, it's my position that whoever's going to be leading the community needs to have that mandate of election. I had faced a opposed election in 2017, which was a great time, those 3 seats and 4 people running, and succeeded. I hope to do the same thing again, please God. And then we gone there. I expect the mayor and vice mayor to come out of the newly elected people who come in with a mandate from the public.
Okay, so did you say at the beginning that you asked to be reappointed? Is that
absolutely?
Okay, because I missed that part.
No interest. It's one of those requirements. I wouldn't have had to do it. So one of the people who was appointed, actually the person who was appointed to replace me, had
for people that don't know, the 2 folks, Chauncey Goss, who we know, I don't know who the other person is. I apologize. Who's the other person?
I don't like to throw names in when we're talking. Well, I mean, there's Chauncey Goss and Jerry Minch,
but they're not running.
No, they're not.
That's what I mean. So
placeholders.
those are the 2 people that were put in those positions, and then the mayor's not running. So that's why we have 3 seats.
Exactly.
And you have 6 candidates.
6 candidates
running for 3 seats. And have any of the other 5 candidates ever been on the city council?
No, none of them actually have. I mean, they're all fine people. There's no doubt about that. But none of them have been on the city council. So I'd be the only, and I look at it as hoping to be reelected.
So the council at the time decided, let's just put 2 people on there that we know are not going to run and let it be an election in March. That's how we got to where we are today. Okay.
Exactly.
Got it.
And the intention then is to take from those 3 people a mandate for the new city council going forward.
And you'll be elected. Somebody will be elected for how many years?
4 years.
4 years. Do you think they did the right thing by doing that, or you should have been appointed?
Listen, it's one of those things you don't travel back in time.
But you have an opinion, though, right?
No, I certainly do. I think I should have been reappointed because I was elected, and the people who didn't appoint me were never actually elected to anything. Which was for the good of the voters, saying, I'm going to, I've never been elected, so I'm going to stop the person who has been elected so that people can elect people.
I see.
It didn't make sense to me.
I see.
But
so was it a vote? Did they have to vote on that? What was the final vote? Obviously you voted.
No, I didn't get to vote on it. No, I wasn't on.
Oh, that's right. You had to resign. I apologize. So at that point, they didn't have anybody on when they voted, right?
They had 3 on when the vote came up.
Okay. Gotcha.
Right. Moving forward,
I think that's it. The process is important. It's important to me. It's totally fascinating to me, the process going through all of that. And why should you be the? Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead. All right. You know what?
Tim, please.
You know what? Go ahead. I'm gonna go fix the microphone.
Sit down.
We'll be right back after this commercial break. Thank you all for being here. It's super.
So you were on the council through a lot of this craziness. Through a lot of the craziness of this year, and there was a lot of tough decisions that were made and tough times. So going forward, what do you see are the priorities or challenges for the council coming up?
Well, you know what? I think you have to divide sort of long-term and short-term planning up.
Okay.
The short-term issue obviously is dealing with COVID-19. But the long-term issues are dealing with the budget. I mean, we're down sort of 15%, and we've had some reduced numbers here in January and December. You have to plan for that in the budgeting sense. And we also have to take into account that the state is going to be hard pressed with its budget, which they're currently dealing with, to look after a lot of things too. So I think we need to look in on Sanibel and do what we can here, because the rest of the state is suffering and many other areas are perhaps suffering even more than us. So I think keeping in place those reasonable restrictions that have done a lot for businesses, for the confidence of the citizenry, et cetera, relative to COVID-19 is a good idea. The next thing, though, is that we need to look at the budget. We need to look at planning for coastal resiliency, something I've worked very hard on, and particularly living shorelines, which are super. And we have some nice examples up at the lighthouse if you ever want to go and see them. And that's where the sort of seawall revetment barrier is, in fact, a living shoreline where you plant mangroves, et cetera, inside it. So it's not like it's just a seawall to stop the ocean coming in. It's a seawall that functions to create habitat for wildlife, both terrestrial and marine. And that's something I want to see a lot of work on. We've had a lot of success during my term was the Jordan Marsh, which really was a very an excellent project. We put Mother Nature to work.
Talk a little
out
bit
lakes.
about that, because I don't know if everybody's aware
Sure.
of
Well, the
that.
Jordan Marsh project is an area of land, not that far down here, and it's worth it for a walk, and it's nice. It was.
I'm going to be taking a bike ride after the show, and so
Hooray. All right.
I'm
When you hit Tarpon Bay, take a left and go
Okay.
down, and you'll see the Jordan Marsh, which is a crackerjack project. And really what that does is it creates an artificial river system where you use what we ended up being able to use was a sort of a residential level sump pump, which knocked a fortune off the bill when we looked at it and said, why do we need a giant one? Can't we just use a small one? It lifts the water into this system that cuts back and forth. And then you have vegetative matter, which is absorbing legacy nutrients that are in the Sanibel River, et cetera. It's taking out your phosphorus, your nitrogen. And then you can harvest those littoral with an O plants and then remove that from the system and take it out. So that's a beautiful way of letting Mother Nature do the job for us. And I think when it comes out the other side, we have a reduction on the order of sort of 60%. Which is an extraordinary success. And that was cheap. The other thing is when you're dealing with, a community like this where people have the resources to really look after some wonderful gardens, et cetera, having the Donex plant converted to make sure they could do tertiary treatment, which is also going out, not just cleaning the water, but stripping out those nutrients as well before they are, say, put into irrigation systems. People landscape, fertilize, then you turn on the irrigation system, and that water has been fertilized, and now you're up to your ears in it. And we've had a lot of success. And we've had a lot of success on the island. And remember, you can't criticize other people in other areas of the state unless you're doing the same thing yourself or doing the best that you can with your resources. And I think we've really accomplished that on the island.
Did you ask him how many push-ups he can do?
No. We were just talking about the challenges that were in the future for the.
Steve is right. Utah Jazz, Stockton.
I should have known that.
Is he a coach somewhere now too? Is he coaching?
To tell you the truth, it's my shame. I really didn't follow on with his career, but he was a gentleman on the court, which is always something to say.
Right, and he played with who?
The Jazz.
Yeah, with who was it was him and one?
Bryant?
No, I didn't
No,
follow the Jazz.
Karl Malone. Karl Malone,
on
dear.
the team apart from him.
Kobe Bryant has passed away, dear.
I know.
Okay,
God bless him.
so
But he played
how
for a
many
long
push-ups
time.
can you do in a minute? Do you know? I mean, John thinks he can do a 50.
Question is do I care how many push-ups?
Oh, you don't do
Not a
push-ups.
bit.
Okay.
No. I get my exercise by taking walks on the beach. And
Very
enjoying
nice. Wow,
myself.
can't beat that, Jason. So, back when this whole crazy pandemic started, the mask mandate thing came up, and it was a giant challenge for every community to deal with
You can never resist.
No, you can't.
because everybody was dealing with it, and it's pretty strict here on Sanibel, I have to admit. But you were sort of opposed to having government. I think I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but
You're
having
doing an excellent job. But pray continue, Edward.
I think you and Kevin were.
Shouldn't even move.
I think you and Kevin were sort of opposed to government. It's like you guys had 2 here and they had 2 on the beach, but it still passed. So, do you still think it's? Well, what do you think about the mandate?
Well, look, here's the thing: is there are times in life to be a leader, and you need to say what you honestly believe. You can't because some people are upset, and rightly so. You've got to think about the wider ramifications. And the thing people forget about when they sort of do this revisionist history is that in March and April, you need to think about the fact that nationwide, we were having a problem with the defund the police movement. A lot of cities in the north were setting fire to their police stations, and it wasn't a good situation. What my concern at the time, one of the things I raised is the enforcement. I said the poor police are under assault societally, and incorrectly so, I might add.
Right.
I'm not adding to that they've got to go around rounding up people. And I want that point to be known, that I think those sort of interactions, I had taken the position that I expected a lot of the businesses to pitch in on this. And then you had businesses that were doing it and others weren't. So then there was a drive of, now I'm caught in doing this and people are upset at me. So let's have everybody doing it. And I considered the matter to be resolved. I just said why I disagreed with this in the sense that we're thinking about the wider ramifications to the community and to the people who are going to be policing this. But once something's passed, that's it. It's passed.
Do you believe they work, or do you think do you believe they just make people feel better?
Gosh, that's a really good question. And it's one thing that I think we're going to have to look back and say, measure this in history. Many years from now, I think we'll get a better idea. For now, it is a suggested course of action by the CDC. And if you've got nothing better to hang your hat on, then I think it's the right thing to do.
Why should people vote for you?
I know, what is a bit of a cut there? It's a nice segue. I'll tell you the truth. I'd like to continue serving the island that I grew up on. I don't know any better than looking after the people who looked after me. I have the experience. I've been through 4 balanced budgets. I've worked with some of the finest people on city council. I respect the staff, and I've done everything I can to look after them. I'm not interested in self-aggrandizement or being invited to Jay-Z's house or something. I'm interested in getting results and having, an efficiency. No, I just threw that in as a
I didn't know Jay-Z lived on Sanibel, but
they all live
Go
in
ahead.
Sanibel.
That's fine.
So for me, it's a case of I like following the law. I like predictability. I practiced as an attorney for over 20 years on Sanibel. And for me, I like people to be able to walk into their professionals and say, when you go before the city of Sanibel, this is what you can expect. Not have it's going to be a popularity contest when people come in. So I've ironically fought harder for people who perhaps didn't agree with me because in the situations I was fighting from, they were right. And
what do you mean by that? Like,
I mean, say if somebody's looking to do something on the island and it's perfectly provided for, I think you've got to support that. If there's a problem with the law, it's to change the law, not to get in the way of somebody who had a perfect right to do that. And that's the predictability and efficiency you expect from a city as sophisticated as Sanibel, and with a staff that is frankly second to none.
What are the 3 issues in order of importance that the island faces in the next year, 2 years, 3 years?
Now, if you're serious about this, it's budget. That's the big issue. That's the thing we've got to deal with. If I boiled it down to 3 for discussion purposes, obviously in the immediacy, it's the COVID-19 response to that.
Talked about when I asked that question.
Yes, you wanted off somewhere to get another cup. I'm sure a fizzy drink. It's hot out here.
You're only going to be 50. When you're 60, then you have to make.
You're not 60. Oh, what a liar!
You have to make bathroom breaks a lot more. So I'll edit your question out. But so are you saying that the budget is not balanced, or
no? The budget is balanced. What you've got to look at is going to have to be priorities in the long term, because we have infrastructure issues, as well as we were talking about,
right,
dealing with coastal erosion, which is something I've dealt with on the west end, getting a wall to protect the main road going to both Captiva and for everybody on the west end to get off of Sanibel. And so those coastal resiliency issues have been a big thing to me. But there's also a third issue, which has been important to me, and it is to a lot of, I don't want to say younger crowds. 50 doesn't qualify as being young, I suppose.
It does in this crowd.
You have a lot more.
What are you, like 29? Seriously.
Yeah.
Ed, how does she make fun of us like this for being all old?
It's her hair makes her look younger.
No, but it's making sure that there's a balance in the island. And I'm talking about a balance between part-time residents and full-time residents. When I was a boy, it was twice as many full-time residents. And the reason that Sanibel became so popular was the community. Like I experienced, anybody coming to visit the island experienced that kind of community where you have families that wanted to spend time with people. We've got to maintain a family interest in the island, because if you're going to have a sanctuary island, frankly, the only way to accomplish that long-term is to have future stewards who know no better than to look after their own home.
But can they afford the housing here?
Yes, because that is what I was talking to some folks inside here. Because to me, coming over here, it's a beautiful area. Prices are up there. And I'm thinking about the people who work on the island and affording to live here versus commuting. So can you speak to that?
Well, I mean, it is not cheap out here. Simple as that. It could be a lot more expensive than other places that you can go to. But I think there's things that we can do within the code and to facilitate families, such as allowing amenities be added to smaller houses that are entry-level houses that families won't buy because everybody sort of wants, these call the wet babysitter to throw the kids in the pool.
Right.
I think there's calculations that can be looked at and amended to allow people to take smaller houses without increasing sort of the footprint of the presence or the density, and to get them those amenities and that they can enjoy those.
Is there anywhere you can build a house on the island left? Is there any?
Absolutely.
Okay.
It's a realtor. You want to talk to her? I'm sure she'll find you something.
Guards! On March 2nd, who do you think should be the mayor?
March 2nd is going to be the election, but the picking of the mayor won't happen until March 16th.
On March 16th, who do you think should be the mayor?
Well, I have an opinion, but that opinion really is immaterial until after March 2nd.
Let's say, okay,
March 3rd, you can ask me.
Just for speculation purposes, let's say you
he's
win.
going to share that with you?
Let's say you win.
Yours.
Who should
I'm
be?
not John Lai. I'm just going to brush this off.
Who should be the mayor?
That's a question
You
for
can
John
brush
Lai.
that out. Yeah, there you go.
He's a Catholic.
He brushed it
that would
off.
be an ecumenical question. Thank you very much.
Do you? Because Mick Denham is not running.
I take the position that it has to be somebody that's actually been elected. It has to be somebody that's got a mandate from the people to say that you're the person that we picked.
But at
Simple as that.
But at that point, all 5 members will be elected.
No, there'll only be 3. The others have never faced an election. They just walked into the office either by appointment or by unopposed.
Oh, okay.
So
I got to
this
do
one is-
I got to do a little more research. The other 2 that are on there
Burn.
now
Mhm.
were appointed.
One
Like-
was appointed and the other stepped in unopposed just at the end of the.
Well, that's still running an election, though, right? That's winning an election, just not running against somebody. Correct or no? If you're
nobody
unopposed,
well, no, if there's no.
you're still
I suppose
running an
we're doing-
If
election.
there's no competition,
Technically, you are in an election, but somebody decided
Maybe put
not
it
to
this
run
way,
against
to
you.
appear on a ballot. How about that? Because one of those things you never get a chance to, like we're doing now.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
This discussion, this is the important part.
Why do
where
you stand
put-
out?
Exactly. I think you have to go through that crucible to say, I've answered the tough questions. I've been out there on the front line. I've shared with my colleagues who also want to run. I think that's important to me. And it certainly was the reasons that were espoused for putting in nobody who was going to run again.
So I'm thinking here that you think you might be the mayor then if you win, because you would have more experience than
March
the other
3rd.
2.
You
have
can
more,
call me March 3rd. He's not mad at all.
you'd have more experience. The other 2, have they ever been? If any of the other 5 have
Edward,
ever,
it's not a dictatorship. You don't get to say, I'm going to
I
do
know.
this thing and
Well,
then
listen,
walk right into it.
in Fort Myers Beach, the mayor now nominated himself. So I mean,
Well, I don't think this nominating yourself is one thing. But you need the votes of the others
right,
to become that
right.
thing.
Well, anyway, I digress about that. But if you go back to the time that you were on the council, tell us something you want the folks listening and watching to know that you feel like, man, I started that and I accomplished that, and that's one of the things that I'm really proud I did.
I'm really proud of the work that I did on the pension boards, both the general employees and for the police pension, because in the 4 years that I was on there, we raised the funding, which means that the city has to reduce the amount that it has to cough up to support those pensions, and raised that from about 50 to nearly 80% funded. That was something I was very proud of. But there was little things also that turned into more than I thought. Was we had the straw ban out here, which is a cause for all kinds of arguments and everything else. And I was not a supporter of it, but I said, I'm going to take point on this and I'm going to go out. This is one of those hot potatoes. But I said, this is where you get to be brave and be a leader.
right?
And I went out and I talked to people on the island, and it turned out that about 90% of the people didn't mind it, and about half the businesses were already doing it because their customers want. So I was turned at that point, and I said, no, I have a duty not to supplant the wisdom of the community and what they want to do, but to support it. So I actually got that, drafted the resolution with the city attorney myself, and we were working with an intern who was just lovely, did a lot of work on it, and got that passed. But then the exciting thing about that was, or I should say, the state legislature came in and started to do a preemption law that said all single-use plastic bans with straw bans were going to be ceded to the state, therefore local levels. Now, I agree with that entirely if you're talking about essential rights, like Bill of Rights kind of rights, and constitutional rights, but those matters that only affect a community, and a community decides this is what we want to do.
Home rule.
No, yeah,
And
that's
that's
my
why
thing.
I turned
Yeah.
it was a home rule question. It's
Yeah.
how you present the issue. And I managed to get the governor to veto that legislation and mention Sanibel as a second town and said, look, this is a local level issue. So I felt like, but the irony of going from something I opposed to surveying the people, to surveying business, to changing my position based on what these people were telling me and
You went
listening
out
to
and
the
talked to the
community,
people and listened
and
to
then
them.
fighting for it all the way up to
And isn't
Tallahassee.
that really, that's the point? Like, you're not there for your agenda. You're there for the people of Sanibel and to represent what they want.
Yeah, you can't be picking, oh, these are my friends, so I'm going to do this
Right.
for them, or I like these people and I don't like. That's exactly the opposite.
That's it.
Interesting.
So how many push-ups can you do there, Ed?
I think I could.
Liar.
I think I could hang out. Hammer out 100. I think I can in a minute. 10 years ago, maybe. So, where else are people going to be able to see you debating.
There's a couple of events. I don't
Foruming.
what,
it's not really debating. It's foruming.
Not well said. And I think that's an important distinction for all of us to make here. That's not what this community is about.
It's nonpartisan.
Is sitting there, throwing thorns at each other. It's telling people what you feel about issues, where you come from. So from that aggregate, they can come up with an opinion of that's the kind of person I trust, whether I like them or not. That's somebody who's going to do the right thing because they don't know any better. That's somebody who's got ideas. That's somebody who's got experience. That's somebody who's brings something.
Somebody can't hear you if you keep swinging the microphone around like that.
I knew that was coming.
But we, Jason, we really appreciate you coming on because it's like 30 or 40 minutes of, it's not sound bites, it's not snippets. And if I ask you a dumb question, you don't have any problem saying that. And that's what I appreciate you doing that. And so there are other things coming up where they're going to be forums and things. So and how do you want people to get in touch with you or get in touch with your campaign? Or I mean, I don't know. Do you run campaigns?
I'll tell you what, it's not, this one's not really. I mean, you can call me in my office, 472-2424. And people have done that. They want to chat about what they think, and I'll share my opinion. I've found in life that it's so much easier to tell people the truth and not lie. And especially when you're, quote, a politician. What I find many times is that we'll wait for the
noise
to go by. They're videotaping you, Kim. Look at that. That's probably been piked back to Michigan. It's important to tell people what you really think, not I'm going to look into this or I'll get back to you, because all those people heard was yes. And when you come back 6 months later saying what you knew back then, but didn't have the fortitude to say to them at the moment, and that's something I avoid. And I'd like to tell people exactly what I think. And I said, if you've got a good reason why I'm wrong, or there's a better idea, I'm all over it. And there's nothing more rewarding than admitting that you're wrong and saying, this is a better course.
Right.
Yay. So what was the purpose here? To make you feel good or to get something done? And I'm about getting something done.
Well, good luck in the election. We really appreciate you coming on our show in Fort Myers Beach.
You're good as gold. I really enjoyed that. That was fun.
How were you able to keep that accent going through the whole half hour? I mean, it really sounds genuine. Like that.
It's a funny thing when I got here.
How have you not lost it?
It's how I think. When I'm like in court, I suppress my accent as much as possible. And the reason is when you're dealing with juries or the judge or opposing counsels, you don't want to use a turn of phrase or a word they don't understand accidentally. And to tell you the truth, I go back to Ireland every summer, and my son spends additional time with my mom and my family over there. And so I try to get back and spend time there.
Fascinating country.
Oh, that's gorgeous. And I tell everybody it's one of those places where Americans are loved. And as far as you know, you're a cousin of whoever you just chatted to in some pub.
Right.
Nice.
So that's a brilliant situation.
Well, good luck in the election, and we'll hopefully talk to you before and after.
I'm at your disposal. Why do you have to keep bringing Ed? Ruins everything.
Jason Maughan, everybody.
Thank you very much.
Good luck in the election. March 2nd, when you go to the polls, Jason's going to be on there. Thanks so much for coming
Appreciate this commemorative microphone. It's actually holding on to.
Look at this. You're not even on the camera.
That's right. He's going to knock the umbrella down with his tallness now. All right.
Thank you so much.
All right. So before we wrap things up here, thank you for bringing your better half too, Jason. We appreciate that. We're going to have Kenny come on, and here comes Kenny. Yeah. Kenny's going to come on. Kenny is a character on this beach. We're not sure why yet, but we're about to find out as the wife does the transformation on the microphone. He's been sitting around waiting to come on the show. Kenny, you want to come back next week? No, sit down and stop your whining already. Right. Kenny is the bird whisperer here on the beach.
Bird whisperer.
Kenny, what is I don't even know what your last name is.
My last name is Bergener, Ken Bergener.
Ken Bergener. And for some reason, the folks here at the Island Cow said you're like the crazy guy on the island here. Why did they say that?
Because Brian doesn't know any better.
Brian's the owner of the Island Cow. And
I've been coming here for 10 years, and every once in a while I ride my bike through.
Yeah. Do you wear a helmet?
No, I mean, I ride my bike through the restaurant.
Oh, through the restaurant.
Yeah.
Is that allowed here?
Ring, ding, ding, ding. Yeah. Everybody laughs and giggles.
Yeah. They say you harass customers and all that.
I do. Well, sometimes I pretend I work there.
Yeah.
And they walk up to the front door. I go, do you want to sit by the pool or upstairs?
Nice.
They go, well, maybe upstairs. We don't have an upstairs. All right, by the pool. We don't have a pool. They look at me and I go, I don't even work here.
Nice. So you're a bit crazy, is what?
Well, just a hair.
Nice.
Just.
So what is it that you do for a living?
We used to take. I run a company called Carefree Birding, where we take people on cruise ships and we go all around the world and we go bird watching. and we get people to give me a lot of money, and I go bird, and they go, here's some money. Go,
How much
great.
do they give you? Is
Wow.
it specific to the type of bird you see?
No.
Or
We set up tours. We get group rates on cruise ships. We'll
Nice.
take 25, 30 people.
are they real birds? Or are they fake birds you just stick in the crowd
that's a
there?
good
in the-
idea.
in the- yeah, just so they
No,
look
we-
like
we have
birds.
local
What are you
guides
doing?
that-
Dude, you
That's
can take your
crazy.
mask off now. We're in safe company. Nobody's running
As
for
long as
election
he's
here.
comfortable.
Are you
I'm comfortable. Yeah.
Okay.
It's-
I always go by the comfort of the
All right.
guest.
He's
If you
unlike
can take
you.
off all your clothes, I'd be comfortable that way too.
Go right ahead, dear. I'm with him. Good job, Kenny. So where were we?
Oh, we're talking about Carefree Birdie.
Do they do that here with people taking their clothes off or no?
I haven't
Okay.
seen that. No, that was back in Fort Lauderdale.
When you it was
Oh yeah, I was a park ranger on the beach, and it was
nakedity
horrible.
horrible. Why? Because heavy people and
I had to look at that every day. You know,
Really?
naked women running around. It was just
were you
disgusting.
staring at the men?
There was a few times I should have given tickets for German guys with ball bags, and
Okay.
yeah, it was not good.
What is it? What is a? Never mind. Where?
So weren't we going to talk about sinking Jimmy Buffett?
Oh, that's right. What's this about?
Oh, sinking Jimmy Buffett's boat. Yeah, that's my claim to fame. One of my claims to fame. I lived over Fort Lauderdale as a park ranger. Then I
the
took off-
naked part.
Then,
yeah.
the naked, yeah.
So
I wasn't
why
naked.
is that why Jamie come over?
No,
Jimmy?
never met Jimmy.
Yeah.
But I ended up getting a job at the Fishing Hall of Fame and Museum, which was a brand new building. It was beautiful.
There's a fishing hall of fame and
There
museum.
there still is, but they moved it out to St. Louis. The guy who owns
St. Louis.
Bass Pro,
Okay, he lives in St. Louis.
yeah, a bunch of rich guys were sitting there talking, and they decided to build a big museum.
It
So-
certainly needs to be in Florida on the water.
Oh yeah, and so they built this beautiful museum, and I just showed up and said I could take kids on fishing trips. They said
Right.
okay, so they hired me.
You just showed up.
I just showed
Were
up.
you married at the time?
I was, and so
Where is your wife, by the way?
actually she's at home,
Yeah.
and
Uh-huh.
this is wife number one. I think
When
she-
you guys would go to the naked beach together, was she? I mean,
No.
did she look at the naked people too?
no, you know, you had to look hard, but that was my job.
You had to look hard.
hard. Yes,
You had to look hard,
Yeah,
or did you
yeah.
have to look
I'm
hard?
going to take a break.
No, I'm who looked hard to you?
Well, you know, when you're on patrol, you have to kind of sniff that stuff out.
Okay.
So anyway,
What is all right? So anyway, so you're sending you're riding the fishing tours down there.
right? I worked for the Fishing Hall of Fame Museum, and I was in the education department. Well, the first year we had like 3 kids coming to camp, so there wasn't much to do. So they said, well, we have to let you go. I said, well, I can do other stuff. Like what? I said, well, I can do maintenance or painting or whatever. They said, okay, you're in part maintenance, and so some days I'd be painting a wall, then the kids show up and I teach the kids. But once the education department got really good, I did
Yeah.
mostly education.
You're boring me now, but get to the Jimmy Buffett part.
So we're there, and we get a phone call from one of Jimmy Buffett's managers or the guy to take care of everything. And he had a 1972 flats fishing boat, which was probably the premier flats fishing boat in 1972. This is 2002 or 2003.
He's in his prime right then. He's killing it there.
Yeah, so he bought this boat, and
How much you think it run him?
back then, probably 2,000-3,000. That's it.
Wow.
But this is 1970, 75, 76. So he had a couple different engines on it, but the flats boat, when they were making them back then, was really big, thick fiberglass. So it was really heavy.
Mhm.
Nowadays they're 10 times lighter and faster, and they've done a lot. But Jimmy's always kept that boat, and so he had a 200 horsepower motor on. And he blew it up, or somebody blew it up, and he
Mhm.
says, "I don't want to spend, and I never use it because it's old and it's heavy." So I said, someone said, "Why don't you donate it, a tax write-off for the Fishing Hall of Fame and Museum?" He said, "Great," because we had a replica of Hemingway's Polar,
Nice.
and we had 2 or 3 other boats. It's under a great big awning, and we had a own lake that had been dug out, maybe half acre, just enough to float stuff. So they brought it down on a trailer, and since I was the maintenance guy, I said, "Here, take care of Jimmy's boat." So we put it in the water. I paddled it over to the dock and tied it up, and checked all the made sure the batteries and the pump, everything worked. Well, I forgot to turn the battery switch back on.
Yeah.
Which was no big deal, except it rained that night, and it's parked right underneath the awning, right where all the water comes pouring down. So I come back to work the next day.
Oh no.
Yeah, about 6:30 in the morning, and I look at those Jimmy boats. That's
Gone.
vertical.
Oh wow.
because the 200 horsepower motor just took it down. It's sitting on the bottom with its bow straight up into the water. It's
You
like,
have pictures of this?
No, I don't.
Incredible.
Yeah.
So
And
did you get it out?
Well, I'm thinking we got to hurry because the boss always shows up at 9 o'clock. Well, the one time in his life he showed up at 7.
Oh boy.
He comes in, he goes, "How's everything going? How's Jimmy's boat?" I go, "That's fine." I sank it. He goes, "Oh, you're just kidding." So anyway, 2-3 minutes later, he's in his office banging on the window. "Oh my God, what did you do to Jimmy's boat?"
Is that your last day?
No.
Oh, he kept you. Were you able to get it out of the water?
Yeah, we just pulled it out.
Nice.
And put it. So it didn't really hurt anything. But
Gotcha. Well, it's
anyway.
a great story to tell. I wonder if Jimmy knows that story.
You know, I've emailed him 2 or 3 times and called on the phone, but as far as I know, he doesn't know.
Yeah. You have his phone number.
Yeah, I have his corporation,
Gotcha.
which there's
It's
no way
quite
you can
big.
talk to him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So anyway.
Well, Kenny, what else? What else, real quick, before we sign off, that you can tell people about you and how they can hook up with you and your
Carefree
business.
Birding.
Okay.
Just go to any website, type in cruising birding, and we're the only company that does it,
Nice.
which is amazing because it's so much fun. We canceled all our trips in 2021. We moved all our people to 2022.
Already. Wow.
Yeah, well, we had to.
Yeah.
So, and I really feel sorry for the people that we use down in the Caribbean because they don't have anybody coming. So it's been a real economic crunch for those guys. Here's no big deal, but
Well, we appreciate you waiting to come on to the end of the show. We
Yes.
had a great
politician.
guest list. Yeah. Jason was great.
It was great. John was great.
John was great.
Yeah, and I'm greater.
Nah. We're going to work you up to greater.
Okay. Well, I'd just like to thank Brian for giving me a free meal. I don't know if he knows that, but I
Oh, he did? Nice.
Yeah.
Good for him.
Wow.
I
They've
ate here.
been crowded the whole time. The big
Yeah.
crowd the
Yeah.
whole
Oh, yeah,
time
it's
since we've been here.
phenomenal. I
Food
ate
is
here
amazing.
breakfast yesterday with my friends. Then my wife said I'm hungry, so I came here and got lunch or dinner, tacos, and then I'm eating here this morning. So
Nice.
Wow.
3 in a row. But
Maybe you
the
should go
Island
home and
Cow
see
is-
your wife a little bit.
yeah, I will. But the Island Cow is a fantastic
Yeah.
place to eat. I really,
Great
really
spot,
enjoy it.
great food,
It is.
great. Well,
Great
thank you.
people.
Thank
You're
you,
welcome.
Ken, for coming on. We'll see you next week.
You want to sit by the pool or upstairs?
I'll be good by the pool. I'll meet you out back. All right,
Thank you
thanks.
so much for coming
thanks a lot,
on.
Ken. We appreciate it. Big round of applause from our
Yay!
artificial audience. All right, everybody. All right, before we sign off, dear, I just want to chat with you real quick and say I think episode number 2 was smashing success.
Yes, but I'm getting ready to go ride the bike.
Okay.
I'm going to take a ride out to Ding Darling. I'm going to go by try and find that Jordan Marsh that Jason Maughan was talking about. And and there's one other place I want to check out. So I'll see how much time I have.
And I'm going to go in the other direction.
Yep.
On my bike. So thank you all for tuning in. And our 1-hour show turned into, as it always does, almost an hour and a half.
You're so long-winded.
We'll be back next week. Next week, folks, we have Mary Bondurant, who's running for council against Jason and the 4 other folks. So 6 people running. And Chauncey Goss. Yes, it's going to be great to see Chauncey again. We saw him, I don't know, probably been a year.
Yeah, was right after he got on the Southwest Florida
Water Management something or other.
Yeah.
I wonder if he's still on that. I've been following that, but we'll
He
have
is.
him on next week. And I forgot a question I wanted to ask Jason, but
Okay.
anyway, we'll see you guys next Saturday at Pete's Timeout and next Sunday right here for Beach Talk Radio. Thank you all for watching and listening, and you all have a great day. Bye-bye.
Bye.